coming into this wanting at least 150 SI points, which is what they get if they finish second.
Yeah, it's one of the... You look at the three teams that we've got left, G2, Falcons, Secret, you look at them and you think, they'll all be at SI, surely. But it really is never that simple. Like you say, you know, these things have a way of coming back to bite teams further down the line, so it is absolutely all about, you know, don't look at this one and think, well, they're at the Munich Major, they're not going to be... They are definitely going to be massively bothered. Not even just because of the SI points, but I tell you now, these top teams are just desperate to beat each other. Every time they step in the server, they want to win every single gunfight, every single second, every single round. They want to win the lot. And these two are going to go head-to-head on Chalet to start things. If we have a look at the Chalet history, I know obviously the Des have gone over it there. It ain't great for either of them, Des. Kind of 1-3, both of them over the last 6 months. Really similar record. Even their attack and win rates on defense, you know, they're very, very similar, the win rates for both attack and defense. There's very little to separate these two teams. Falcons slightly better on attack, G2 slightly better on defense. That's about all we can say.
I just love how in round one, because there's a lot we can say about this team. Leakifak is like, get me on the Solus, give me that buff shotgun. He's straight on it. I think we must have all seen those changes yesterday. There's no, there was a patch earlier on today, and Solus did get quite a substantial buff. The range of a gadget going from 12 meters to 20. The shotgun being made stronger. I want to say it was Gunnar. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about this. He was on the timeline earlier saying, we don't need these changes to damage. It's got to make bigger holes. That's all you need for it. And Leakifak's like, no, make it do more damage, man. I'm here for it. So I think he could be an absolute menace today on the operators. So we'll keep a close eye on it and see just what kind of impact he can have. But it is going to make life hard for G2 to get these drones safely inside the building and know what the hell is going on.
Just going to see already some of the fire arrows coming in from Doki just to try and prevent any bandit tricking going on behind that wall. But of course, the Tuberau just adds a little layer of depth there, not, I think, unintentionally, freezing out the Twitch drone of Alamau as well, which is going to prevent him getting down there to kind of support. So he's being careful with the second one. As you can see, we've still got a bandit battery on that other side. This is actually being really well played. They're going to get the wall open, but look at that! Shaiko just stands right in the breach, takes one down with the Tuberau. Second Twitch drone goes as well. That's actually not a bad outcome for Falcons.
Nah, I mean, the blessing, I guess, for G2 is Blaz has already done his work. He's got the breach opened up. Loki gets a very, very delayed trade back on the other side. Now it's just back and forth, right? Leakifak finding out Lair, a good one to get rid of that ramp, because it will at least mean now, at least with the work that Lair was looking to get done, he won't be able to do quite so much of it. I was about to say, surely you see the man underneath your scope there. And sure enough, Stomping collects him. It's back and forth, though, but ultimately it's Falcons coming out on top, Tim. We've still got 75 seconds to go. Stomping's got to win a 1v3, if not recover the diffuser and get it put down. There is work to be done, and work that I don't think Falcons are going to let him get away with.
No, I'd have to agree with you, Stomping. Just sending in the flashbang to connector. I don't know if he's convinced of the location then when the shots come through. It just gives users away. Stomping finds a beauty. It's actually winnable here. He's going to just strafe across. If he takes the one on pillar, they're kind of both lining up a little bit. We've seen this over the last few days where players just manage that double flick. He manages to hit one, but doesn't get either, as Breeder will close him down. That's going to be first round going to Falcons.
If there's anything I hate seeing more than a banned Dockerby team, it's Dockerby with 2 phone calls in back pocket. I was like, no, how have we got this late in the round and they're both still available? Like, you can watch in the bottom left corner of your screen. They're all here and available for them. We get into this little back and forth around the map. Trades going here, there, and everywhere, but no calls being used. You can't bring the operator and not make maximum use of it. Fair play to Stomping. He's played pretty well in the 1 versus 3. Close, almost forcing it down to a 1 versus 1. But Falcons simply not giving anything away there in that 2 versus 1. They take the first round in the basement, and they go to Bar and Gaming for round 2.
We're going to have Leakifak sticking with Solus. So to give you a little bit more info on the changes to Solus, not just the weaponry, of course. She's had the change where her impact nades have come back. which is a big one because the impact nades were a huge, way to deny that plant, particularly if you're underneath and you can see the plant going down. Just open it up with the impact nades, doing a bunch of damage as well. It was really, a big factor. So the impact nades have come back at the cost of the bulletproof cam. You can see Leakback is running the impact nades. There's also been changes to the gadget as well. And one of the big changes, I think, here is the change in detection rate. So there's 3 gadgets that we need to think about here. There is Solus, 3 operators, Solus, Pulse, and IQ. IQ wins on range with a 20-meter range. Pulse is about 15 meters, and Solus used to be about 12 meters. So as you can see from that, the attackers have the advantage. IQ will see either of those operators before they see her. Not the case anymore. Solus has been extended up to 20 meters. She now meets the range of IQ, so it is a dead heat. It's an even battle between the two of them. It is no longer just, a no-brainer to say, right, Doki's going to win that out because he's got the greater range on the IQ. This is going to be a potentially much more even fight because Leakback will be able to see Doki just as soon as he can see the Solus. So, really interesting changes coming in.
Absolutely. Again, it's only small tweaks and changes that we've seen, but the impact the pros can make them have is quite scary at the best of times, and we'll see how that bleeds on throughout the day. Here as well, Doki, you're always looking in a rock and a hard place here. You want all your attention to be inside a bathroom window, but you're always being challenged from the Ivy window. And sure enough, Chaiko is like, just look away from me for 2 seconds. Just give me 2 seconds. And you'll be in hot water, because as safe as you might feel behind these posts, Tim, you step an inch anywhere and you're basically exposed to that window. You can lose your life for it. It's why we've seen teams using Sends quite a lot, for example. Roll one of those light screens down in front of that window, make it hard for anyone playing on the other side to be able to challenge the bathroom window player. So right now it's a merry little dance, but we are halfway into the round, which means someone has got to get a wiggle on, and really it's going to be the attackers. All the onus is on G2 to get something happening.
Good. I'm just going to have that IQ scanner out. More gadgetry taken down. Breaching going off. So G2 continuing to work, but they've only got a minute left to start really disrupting these players. And we've still got Leakback roaming around underneath on the Solus. Unchecked at the minute, really. Down there in dining. No damage done. And it's something G2 are definitely going to have a plan for. How do you plan for Jaco? Just hitting you with a headshot. They don't know about Leakback. G2 are just being picked apart right now as Users manages to find another 5 versus 2. And this round is almost certainly done. It's up to Stomping again. This time a 1v5 cut down by Users. That's going to be a second round for Falcons. G2, I just don't feel, had a real grip on that map at any point during that round.
It's a weird one because they looked somewhat in the same as in the previous round. It was a little bit messy, but lacked the sort of pace and determination that we've seen G2 have historically. That round was more of the same, a minute and 30, 2 minutes it took them to get control of Office and Master side, to get inside a piano, to force Chaiko away from playing on the Ivy window. And I thought, okay, then they've been a bit slow so far, but they'll get moving soon. It's G2. We know they can. As soon as they start sniffing anywhere near bar gaming, start dancing around library, looking towards the top of library stairs, the bite back is immediately there from Falcons, almost like they're waiting to spring a trap on G2. And dare I say, what has made G2 a very, very effective attacking team in the past has been their pace. Teams struggle to keep up with them when they all flood in as 4 or 5 at once. It's very hard to respond to. Falcons so far are playing against a slightly slower G2 than what we're used to seeing. And you've seen the results so far. They're up 2-0 and life's looking pretty cozy.
10 seconds to go.
As if it continues to be cozy in the kitchen. That's where we're going to be heading this time around. Kitchen and dining for Falcons.
You know what? I've got a real funny one for you. I don't know if you saw on camera. I'm wearing a short sleeve, very tropical shirt today. And I was deciding what to wear earlier. I was like, to put a long sleeve on, given we are now in October, it feels ridiculous to be wearing summer clothes. But I thought, you know what? It's the last stage of playoffs. When we get to Munich, I won't be able to wear it. I'll only be able to wear my winter shirts, my long sleeves. So I thought, go on then. It's a final swan song to summer. We'll wear a nice short sleeve. But you speaking about getting cozy in the kitchen, now I'm just like, I should have gone long sleeve. We're near Christmas already. It's ridiculous. But 2 months until Christmas, Tim.
I mean, we're getting in towards Halloween, Des. We're getting into the season of...
When does Christmas start for you officially?
For me, personally, beginning of December.
Really? I'd say after Halloween, I'm okay with it then.
Yeah,
if I walk into Asda tomorrow and the Christmas tunes are playing, we're going to have a fallout.
I'm not miserable about it.
I'll be on social media having a scrap with someone.
Yeah, I'm not like in a miserable way about it. I like it to be like a more focused and intense kind of season. Like, if I get into December, then it's bang, we're on the countdown, and everything can be quite focused and intense about it then. But
this round doesn't feel very focused and intense yet, Tim.
I was just going to say that. Let's see if we
know what we're saying. We got this one.
Intensity picking up as Shanko takes down Stomping 5 versus 3. What Falcons are, there's no other way of putting it. They're running over G2 at the minute.
They're just not bothered, Tim. Get out the botherometer.
They're unbothered.
Extremely unbothered. They're just picking them off one at a time. G2 again have got a little bit stuck here, but okay. I don't want to say basics here, boys, but it really is that they're losing out to at this point. Like, Falcons have largely planted themselves on a half wall. They've danced around piano. They've just kept everything locked off, actually on the office wall itself, and just said, all right, there, you want to come peek on us? Go for it. And we'll beat you in every gunfight that it steps into. A strange one, but those have been 3 very, very dominant rounds by Falcons, bar maybe the first one where Stomping had a chance, but it was still a 1v3. It was always uncomfortable. Just don't really feel like G2 have shown up yet.
Just a reminder that G2 did ban banking, not necessarily instead of Chalet, but let's, for argument's sake, say they definitely could have banned Chalet, before they were playing here. And it's a tactic that worked yesterday for them. We said it was a gamble. It took them to Clubhouse, which they got the win on. And you just look at it and think, I'm not sure they've tried to kind of come at it from the same angle, but where, in any series, I get it that maybe G2 don't want to just, rinse and repeat bank over and over and over and over and over again, because it is effectively going to be a position of diminishing returns against somebody like Falcons, especially, who, are so good on so many maps. You're not just going to, you're giving more and more away, essentially, every time you play it. Teams are going to get, as we've seen with Virtus Pro, a much better idea of exactly how you do things, and they'll start punishing you for it. So I get it. It's not as simple as saying, oh, just play bank every time. But again, coming through to a map like Chalet, it's not, I get it, it's not one of the best maps for Falcons. They don't really like this map, but effectively I think trying to play into your enemy's weaknesses all the time rather than play into your strengths is eventually gonna punish you at some point. You're gonna come unstuck at some point, and I think that might be the point that G2 are at now. But look, it's not a huge problem. They move on to their second map, which is their choice, and they look to maybe take it to that decider on border. I'm looking a long way down the road yet. There's still a lot of siege to play on Chalet, but it's not looking good for them right now. This tactical timeout is going to have to be spectacular.
We've just got to kind of look towards the bans as well, just to talk about these for a second. When we had the blitz coming away, I was like, oh, okay, and taking pressure away from Alamo. He can't rush people down anymore. Similar story with Doki being on the... What's the Dokkaebi then? But obviously she's banned. We'll talk about that in a second. But it's playing on towards the Deimos. That's the one. That's the D I was looking for. Too many Ds in these bans, Tim. I can't talk about it much longer. The Deimos being taken away. Obviously, it's a really strong pairing up with the Dokkaebi. We spoke to the depth about this before. Really effective when the Deimos gets the track down to have a Dokkaebi call going off at the same time. Hard to get sideswiped by someone when you know exactly where they are because of the phone calls going off as well. So that sort of slowed them down a little bit. The Dokkaebi, I think now... G2 haven't used it super effectively, but at least in the last round tried to do so. I think it's going to slow them down even further here, and I'm hoping the words that came out of the backroom stuff at G2 in that tack timeout were, boys, where's the energy, where's the pace, where's the G2 that we've seen jumping in through bathroom window while a player sat on double rappel while there are 3 players pushing in towards piano and on the main breach and on side, balcony door. These are things that were missing in that last round. It was very, very one-dimensional from G2 to a little more creativity, a little more pace, and they might be able to start overwhelming Falcons, but Falcons look pretty ready for anything that G2 have thrown at them so far.
Solito's just going to be forced away out of library there, so that's G2 taking a little bit of ground. Lair is in and able to start that vertical work as well. But again, G2 just not confident of where everybody is, and punished again by Leakyfact. Having a little look for the challenge on Ivy Door, but I tell you what, Leakyfact's sticking around because he's happy to keep fighting this. He's a minute into the round. He's taken Doki down, which is your Lion Gun as well. He can open up his own rotations. Those impact nades going to make Solis a super, super popular roaming option, as well as that, counter electrical, that counter diffusing technology that she can bring to the table. Just being able to do things like that, super easy, super flexible, little rotation, mix things up. It's going to make her very, very popular.
We'll come back to those bans again, right? How do you sniff out Leakyfact there outside of getting drones in deep into the map and seeing, oh, solar walls reinforced off. There might be someone playing around here. They haven't gone that deep in. They've kept it quite shallow overall and paid the price. And Likafak is able to do really whatever largely he wants to. Has got himself now on the dining hatch. Not sure they're even aware that he's inside of dining in the first place here. So he can just happily sit and wait. Maybe step out and go for a challenge at some point. But no, has dropped back in towards site and given over that ground floor control towards G2 now that we're down to this 4v4.
My mistake there. I saw the impact there and just assumed he was sticking with the Solace, but he's not. He's putting the Goyo to work. 3 kills come in for G2, though. They managed to finally get something going. That tack timeout might just be having the effect that they need. It's Likafak who's going to be last alive and won't be for very long as Lair steps in, takes him down in connector. G2 get themselves one. Will that be the foundation for them to start a building? I just want to have a look at their defensive stats for when they switch over. 50% historically on Chalet is their win rate on defense. So G2, you could arguably statistically say they should be looking to expect at least 3 rounds in the second half. So I would argue they want to be winning the next 2 of these to make sure it's a 3-3 split.
Absolutely, get themselves a little bit of bounce for sure. That round at least better, though. It really felt until the dying moments that it could have gone either way still, personally. Like, it really came down to Blaz hitting a couple of great shots. That one into Shaiko, an absolute freebie. Gets a second in the cover in a second. Alamat almost going down at that point. So, a close one still, but overall, they're the ones with 4 players left alive, and it looks like a good round for G2. They're on the board. That's the kind of response that you want to see after attack timeout. Now, Tim, we had a good chat yesterday about Capcan and how he felt like the downfall of G2 in that game against Gen G, especially on club. Probably 3 times in a single half where we saw players being caught out by it, either losing the majority of their health or outright dying to it. It's a good way, again, of forcing them to slow down. That's what the bans have been engineered to do. That's what the gameplay is starting to do, looking in towards the FNATs, in towards, of course, those shields, the frost mats coming out. Also, of course, you've got those cap cans I've spoken about. So for me, for Falcons, again, it's about trying to take away G2's main strength, which is the ability to overwhelm their opponents.
And we've seen, we've seen a couple of times where G2 have been kind of, and I guess all teams try to do this to a degree, but the most successful teams against G2 feel like the ones who have looked at the way they play, recognized where their strengths are, and worked to remove those specifically, rather than going with, here is our strategy to keep map control, or here is our general strategy to, funnel teams through this area on attack. The ones that have very specifically played into G2's strengths have generally done pretty well, or the ones that, not so much their strengths, but have understood the way that they play and have been able to take advantage of it. Leo picked up on it, with the way that they can be separated on Chalet, for example. And the teams that have done that well have sort of done best against them, and Falcons definitely looked prepped for it. Likafak straight back onto that Solace.
The range, man.
He's not going to tease me this time with Goyo and the impact aids. He's gone straight onto the Solace. Like you say, that range, just to remind everybody, it's gone up from 12 meters to 20. So super potent operator at this point.
You just see anything that's happening, and any players that are sat on drones or using gadgets of any description, he's just going to see them all at that point, and it just helps orchestrate everything that's going on. He's also the IGL, don't forget, so he can read into that and say what the response should be. IGL and IGL action as he brings down Alamau, and then Doki finds Shaiko to net things back out again. Halfway through the round, and just like in the previous one, Tim, it's a 4v4. Yeah,
it's a great start there for Falcons, just being able to take down the Twitch as well. Going to secure a lot of that gadgetry, make it more difficult. Solotov picks up Lair. Stompin's just trying to spray, trying to find anything at the minute. G2 struggling round to round to kind of get themselves going. It's been a quiet start, but Doki manages to find users. Headshot from the Capitao leaves him now able to push down blue stairs. Needs to be careful though, because he's challenging a mirror. However, in go the fire arrows. Likafak picks up Stompin. Doki will burn Brede out. That fire arrow did the job, and that gives a little bit of access to sight, but it's Likafak again. Now finds himself 1v1 locked in sight. Can he win it out?
I think Doki's on for an ace here, right? Because he got that 4th kill right under Likafak as well. I think he's on here to completely clean them out, but Likafak himself is 7-1. A real battle of minds coming out here as Doki starts dropping in smoke. Doesn't have the diffuser, so it's a bit of a bait.
Likafak's just waiting for his opportunity. Doki just teasing him on the doorframe, but it gave Likafak all the information, all the intel that he needed to be able to preempt that gunfight, and he wins it out. Falcons take another one. It's 4-1, and they are sitting pretty right now.
They are looking pretty good still, but it comes down to a close round, and we speak a lot about these rounds where, if only that 1v1 had been won, or only that thing had happened to be a little bit different. That's the kind of round that G2 will look back at and say, it could have been 3-2. Instead, they stare down the barrel of a 4-1 and have some work to do in this final round to keep themselves going. I feel like it'll be the chance to do so. It should be this offsite we step into here. It's going to be kitchen and dining once again. It was actually last time around we played it, a flawless round coming out for the side of Falcons. So some work to do for G2 here if they want to change their fortunes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it starts here and now. It's got to be this round. This is a must-win round for me. It's rare that I say it as early as round 6. But I think this is a must-win for G2. Coming back, if we go back to those historic attacking stats on Chalet, I look at G2, 31%. Well, I'll give them the benefit of the 0.8%. It's 31.8% attacking win rate. It ain't pretty. They've not even managed to meet that threshold. When we look at the defense, it's 50%. So they can expect maybe 3 rounds on the defense. That's going to bring them up to a total of 4. So a 5, if they stay as they are now, so 5.5 just isn't good enough for G2. They need to win this.
They've still got to face off against Leakafak, who's been an absolute demon this half. 8-1 he now sits at. I'm not going to say it's the Solus buff, Tim.
He's put a nightmare on it.
It has, because again, the information that he's been seeing, he's seen players on drones, using gadgets, he's been running around having a lot of fun with the shotgun. He's been a busy boy.
He has. I think half of it is down to Leakafak's slippery movements as well. But Alamau's just going to get himself straight inside a trophy. Interesting one from G2. Not really. They are worrying elsewhere about it. They are looking for map control, but Alamau's just going to get really aggressive and get involved very, very quickly. And that might just net him a kill or 2 here, which you feel is what, exactly what G2 need, is that platform to build them into a round. Nitro comes out, not going to do any good, but it's that man again. Leakafak with an opener, picks up Blaz. That is the sense offline. Big loss.
And that's the entry in every single round secured by Falcons here, Tim.
Yeah.
2 for Shaiko, 1 for Solitov. Now 3 in a row for Leakafak. Bullying G2 at the start of these rounds. And the Sens, as you say, being offline is probably the best operator they could find. Some damage attempts coming on through, but Doki's there for a response. Immediately chooses to get 1 back. So another 1-for-1 taking place. This is only helping Falcons, though, Tim, because they're the ones with the numbers advantage.
Yeah, they can just win any war of attrition now. Alamo taken down. Breeder is the one to find it, but there was bullets flying in from multiple angles there. 4 versus 2 now. Stomping, trying to recover that diffuser, trying to get a kill, trying to get any kind of spark to ignite his team in this round, but it's unlikely. Lair does manage to find Shaiko, but takes a lot of damage along the way. So whilst they do brings things a little bit closer, it is still a 2v3 that G2 stare down the barrel of.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Stomping being a couple of 1vx's throughout the half. Of course, none quite being converted. With Lair on side, can he get more done? He needs to find a kill, really. Then very close to getting one, but no! Tell you what, this man is Neo from the Matrix, dodging every bullet coming until Stomping steps across and puts him in the mud. Agent Smith has found his man, and now it's Predate and uses to hold on in these final 30 seconds. Stomping has rounded downstairs. Big chance for G2 here to get that second round, Tim. Diffuser surely about to be recovered as well. Players of Falcons stood pretty far back, but 20 seconds to go. Can G2 get it done?
Stompers just trying to take the quick peeks. Doesn't know exactly where anybody is inside his sight. Could be an opportunity to get the diffuser down here. They're gonna have Stomping on the cover as Lair goes for it. The push comes from Falcons. They get the kill they need. Users finds his man, and then it's an easy mop up onto Lair. 5-1 Falcons, and it's not just about the scoreline here. This is the point that I want to really sort of emphasize. This is the manner in which Falcons are winning this. G2, they're not even kind of close in a lot of these rounds. It might be coming down to the last 2 players on each side, but Falcons, even then, just feel like they are confidently in control of this Chalet. 5-1 up, but let's see how impactful that side switch could be.
Yeah, it needs to be stupidly impactful, Tim. As we remarked, every single entry kill has been won by Falcons in that first half. Yet the majority of rounds, they barely lost a player that they came out on top of anyway. One, of course, they lost everybody. But 1 round was flawless, and they were left with 4, the one with a couple. They've made it look like, you say, the nature of which the rounds are won, very comfortable.
I think a couple of rounds at least, I'd say 7, 8 and 9 all need to go in favour of G2. They need to basically do what Falcons did, who came out and had that complete rotation to begin with. They went to basement, went to bar and gaming, went to kitchen dining and won all 3 of them. And, you know, that was the point where G2 know that they're in a game, they know they're on the back foot, the tack time out came in, and I think that's G2 need that as an immediate response here. If Falcons are able to pick up that round that puts them on 6 in the next couple of rounds, round 7, round 8, they get themselves onto 6, you're just looking at it thinking G2 basically have to go flawless from there just to get back to overtime. It's a huge ask.
10 seconds to insertion.
It is. Well, let's see how they fare off then, Tim. Bans, of course, come on through as well. Shock horror. Shaiko has had Deimos taken away from him, and Blackbeard, it's been a long-time favourite of a couple of players actually on the side of Falcons, so not surprised to see that taken away. And on the other side, the double Architect ban coming out, the Azami and the Mirror being ripped away from G2 to hopefully make Falcons' life a little bit easier, a little smoother to move through the map.
Again, Solotov straight in on the Twitch. Just as G2 were utilising this operator pretty heavily, I would say, at times, to go through and take out those electronics. 3 out of 6 rounds we saw the Twitch brought along. Falcons will themselves look to get on it immediately, but Solotov's shown too much of himself. Alamo punishes him, and G2 have woken up there. As we said, the side switch might be the one for them, and it looks like they might have the first of those 3 rounds that I said that they desperately needed.
Well, they've certainly tried to go fast there, Falcons, and G2 have just cut them down. It doesn't matter there's a shield in front of their face or anything. They have had the answer. So now, Shaiko stood here looking in towards Library. I'm pretty sure wondering, all right, guys, is this one really savable? Casual as anything, takes out the C4 and then follows up onto Alamo. It's a little bit flashy, but I think you'll find the last 3 members on G2 here are not going to see this round being given away.
Like watching him, training, watching him sometimes, isn't it? When he just
it's
a combination of shots like that. Doesn't matter in the long run. G2 know where he's coming from, and Doki's going to be the one to cut him down as he comes in through the window. That's going to be G2 getting their first round on defense. Puts them back to 5-2. All smiles in the team still, so, you know, maybe the spirits are still high. The important thing there as well, I think, not just getting the round. Obviously, that's, you know, number 1, but number 2, you picked up on it, Des. 6 rounds in a row prior to that, G2 have lost that entry battle every single time. This time, Alamo comes out, takes down Solotov, they win that entry, best foot forward, and they go on and cruise through the rest of the round, only losing a couple of bodies along the way. Much, much better from them, and it needs to be a platform to build off. It's not done yet. Don't breathe a sigh of relief at this point, G2 fans. I still think they need round 8, round 9, get back in touch. 5-4, then we can start talking about them maybe winning Chalet.
Yeah. We've been here so many times over the last few weeks, Tim, across EML, across Asia, across Japan, you know, where teams are down in situations like these, and they have fought it back 2 or 3 times. But those are the moments people want to remember, the real high moments. The majority of the times, you do see the team manage to push a couple of rounds over the line and get themselves there, leading a map ending up 7-4, for example. It is a big ask of G2. There's a 3-round deficit still to cover. If Falcons have tried their rush, I think you're going to find they slow down in this round and go back to what makes Falcons Falcons and make life a little bit more difficult for G2.
In goes the clutch drum. No surprise to see the Bravo starting to be brought along. We've seen
Shaiko, it's like one of his favourite operators.
Yeah, loves it, but, you know, we've seen so much gadgetry as well, you know, being brought in. We've seen the Twitch being brought along to kind of try and deal with that, but, you know, whether it be bandit batteries, mute jammers, you know, we've seen plenty of it. We've got Kaid now that G2 is on the attack rather than bringing the bandit that Falcons were opting for. Interestingly, bandit's undergone a change as well. You know, we've spoken at length about the Soulish changes. Bandit's been given the Keratos as a secondary as well, so his destructive capabilities in the prep phase have gone up, so I think we might see, I don't think it'll affect his pick rate too much, but we might see a little bit more. For the time being, Shaiko will continue racing around, trying to steal away those gadgets. What's that bulletproof camera? That's going to have been his main focus, I would expect.
What I call the Shaiko paradox, Tim. One of the best gunners in the world, but he plays a lot of Flores, plays a lot of Brava. Very drone and utility heavy operators that keep his gun down for more than half the round, and we know what he can do when he gets moving. But it's just bizarre seeing him be one of those very, very utility heavy players when we know what he can do with the gun up. You thought maybe he'd be more enabled on roles like that, but early for this game. This is the role they need, and across many, many games is what they need. Lair going to find him, speaking of. This is why his gun's been down, Tim. Got himself in a bad spot, picked up for free. Uses at least getting one back to stem the bleeding, but it's a G2 4 versus 3, Tim. Things looking good. Didn't hack away there once, did you, Shaiko?
Well, you know, Falcons have been falling foul of the Capcan quite a lot. So not only Falcons that we've seen it on, but we did see Leak of Fact take 2 Capcan deaths, I think in back-to-back rounds the other night. It was at least 2 rounds out of 3 that he took Capcan trap deaths. We've just seen it there again. Blaz getting a bit of success this time. So Falcons, you know, maybe we need to be just increasing that intel, that drone work, making sure that we've pinned out all of those traps, that you know where they're all located, so you're not straying into them, because it is starting to cause a problem. G2 managed to take the round. 3-5 they get back to. I want one more from them. One more, and we'll start getting a little bit more excited, G2. This is honestly turning into, I mean, it's no surprise. Falcons attacking win rate on Chalet, 36.8%. G2's 31.8%. You know, neither of these teams can attack fantastically well on Chalet, is the reality. And that's absolutely what we're seeing. This is no surprise that we're seeing 2 teams fight over who can attack the best.
Tim, I don't want to raise any alarm bells, but we've had Doki now play Clash 2 days in a row.
This is getting weird now.
There's no cause for panic. Just wanted to put it out there so we're all aware of the elephant in the room here. Certainly not his go-to. But who knows? One worth speaking about now, think about it, of course. We had slight buffs coming into, spoke about a bit earlier on, the Bandit, and also the Jaeger that's being brought along here by Blaz. Isn't running around with the shotgun. Was that buff where I've got a better pistol with a scope on, so we can do a little bit more work, but he's running around, of course, with the carbine, so no real worry about the pistol too much. Though you never know, if we see a clutch come out and he has to switch to that pistol, Tim. I'm just saying, I'm just asking the question. Could it actually have an impact here today?
Could be a defining moment, Des. Could be a defining moment.
Could be.
Stomping is on the Bandit. Does have the Keratos as well, for anybody wondering. He has taken that as his secondary. So we'll have been able to... I think...
it's a great quality of life change, that, by the way. I really appreciate it.
The focus that's described in the patch notes particularly. I love this, by the way. Doki's just using the Clash to stand in front of the drone. Oh, brilliant stuff. You know, one of the big reasons is that they've recognised that a lot of the time the Bandits will punch the wall to make a hole to help sound propagation, so they can kind of hear a little bit of what's going on with the Bandit tricking, and, you know, is somebody on the other side or not, as it improves the sound slightly. So they've, you know, said, you know what, there's a secondary weapon that'd help you do that, Bandit. So here's the Keratos. You can just open those holes up a little bit more without having to punch through the wall. Nice change.
It appears to have an idea on where Doki is. No surprise at all, as he's darted himself away. I think back to the days of, I want to say it was Packful on Clubhouse, when they were trying to bandit trick onto Jacuzzi Wall, would sit there, turn around on the Clash, and block the drone hole with his shield anyway. And it was just like, you can't move it, but it was horrible, because nades would bounce off it and all sorts. It was vile to try and deal with. Doki's large tried to save the leads for a few seconds, obviously had to step away in the end, and now we've got the verticals being opened up too, but it just threw me back to that old memory of a good few years ago.
Just continuing to try on the verticals. Blaz it is that's going to pick up Leaker back. He's certainly not having as much success as when he was using the Solis. Interestingly, G2 have fallen right back away from sight into Big Garage, so they're holding the long angle instead. Solitov does manage to pick up Lair, 4 versus 4. We find ourselves coming into the final minute. Breede's just inside of sight here. Falcons are starting to pick up kills. Breede's got an opportunity to put the diffuser down and will do so. That's important cover from Solitov as well. Knows that Blaz was looking for a little bit of a flank, takes him down, gets the final kill, and this was the problem I was talking about. G2, they got 2 out of the 3 rounds that I wanted for them, but not the 3rd. Falcons take it down, get themselves onto 6, guaranteed overtime on Chalet, and now G2 have got a problem because they have to go 3 rounds back to back. They don't have a choice. It's not a nice to have. It's not a preference anymore. They've got to go 3 back to back, otherwise Falcons take Chalet.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
And let's not forget Lair's next, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. One to speak about there for a second was, you said it yourself, like Breede's in the middle of sight, and what I loved about it was Falcons weren't trying to execute there and just try and get very minimal slither of control to make this happen and spamming smokes down. When they realized that G2 were falling back, they didn't say, okay, let's just plant and sort of hope they don't turn around. they actually pushed on deep and really tried to shut them down and stop them getting any kind of comfortable positions behind to try and stop the point going down. And once they found a couple of kills, Bride turned tail, got the diffuser down. Obviously, Solotov caused absolute carnage on blue stairs as well. It was just really good for them to not kind of go, okay, I guess they aren't here, I guess we'll just plant. They wanted to make sure they killed a couple of players off the back of it with the pressure coming in from the other side of Falcons' push. And it was just really, really smart and intelligent. That's why they're now at 6-3. It's why they've got a 3-round advantage, and it's why G2 have really got to buck their ideas up here and do something special.
Well, let's see if they can achieve it or not. Okay, continuing with that Soulless use. We saw him switch out to the Clash last time. He's had a little bit of variation. Soulless, Warden, Clash, and now back to the Soulless. Certainly not as consistent as Leaker Pack was on that operator so far. But it may well be that we have a surge from him in these last few rounds. Leaker Pack, interestingly, is on the Amaru. We always pick up on it. It's always one to watch. Just one of those explosive operators. Could be up a hatch, could be in through a window. I personally really like Amaru when that Gara hook is used towards the end of the round. Everybody expects it in the first minute and a half. Get in there quickly, get aggressive, attack. You know, you don't need to play it like that. Quite often we'll see teams be, you know, just sort of leave it on the back burner. Wait until those defenders are really, really busy late in the round when you've got yourself into position, you've taken away a lot of utility, then zip in through a window when they're not expecting it. And that's when you can really put them in big trouble.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see anything too crazy come off it. A lot of players have asked them, you know, well, why do you run the Amaru so much and not actually use the gadget? And they're like, just like the gun. Leave flashes. Makes sense. So I was like, all right, fair play. Sometimes it ain't always about the gadget, but we'll see, of course, anything comes out of that soon. Solotov has tried to go in, immediately shut on down. Leakerpack, look up here, for example, not making use of that gadget, but is playing hard around this piano window, just looking to try and give a bit of cover and support to his team. As it stands, the Falcons not yet able to get themselves inside the building. Every single player still outside halfway into the round.
Setting up recon drone.
There you go. Waiting for that second half of the round. He's going to go zipping in and try to take a bit of map control. He doesn't know about the player on his right. It's too easy for Doke. He steps across, picks up his kill, and G2 really cement their position as favourites for this round with that. Lair manages to find Bride as well, and Falcons are left scraping and scrapping, trying to find a way in, trying to find any safety. Stomping closes down users. One versus everybody, and it's going to be Doki taking down Shaiko. G2 close out the round. They get 1 of 3 that they need. It brings them back to 6-4.
It was the perfect mirror of what we spoke about in that first half as well. So when you think back to it, we were saying about G2, they're lacking that pace, they're lacking that aggression. Yeah, Falcons have tried. Solotov's gone in, they've tried to get control of Library. What happens? Immediately shut down, and for the rest of the round, the team are kind of recovering and figuring out, okay, then how the hell do we pull this one back? And sure enough, it inspires attack timeout to come out from Falcons. They know there is a chance here that G2 can win these next 2 rounds and send us to OT. It would keep up with our trend, Tim, of having our first game of the day go to OT. But Falcons don't want that. They want this done in regulation. They haven't got to sweat for those extra 3 rounds.
No, exactly that. It just sends a message, doesn't it? And we know how Falcons, you know, we know how confident they're going to be going into Lair. If we have a look at their Lair stats while we've got the opportunity on the attack timeout, we know that G2 are good there as well. But Falcons, over the last 6 months, have played it 7 times. They've won it 6. G2 have actually won it 5 out of 5 times. So, you know, still very good there. But, yeah, every stat in terms of win rate, attack, defense for both teams, every single stat is above 60%. The lowest is G2's defensive win rate at 61.3%. It goes up from there for both teams on attack and defense. So we've got an absolute lip-smacking prospect coming up in map 2, one way or another, however this one plays out. But I think Falcons know if they get this one done, they're going to really fancy getting this done in 2 on Lair.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully after that attack timeout, for them at least, they see the same success that G2 did after their attack timeout, and they get things wrapped up. They're slowing things down in this round. I think realizing to themselves, all right, things have been going quite slow. Why not? Going across to Bride, running around on the Monty. Got the Dockerby coming out. Long spoke about how I think this is a great pick for Falcons historically. You'll see them make a phone call. They'll then try and move on forward. Pause for a second, recollect themselves, use another phone call to push on forward or execute. They're very, very effective at making use of the Dockerby. But I don't imagine G2 want to make it easy for them, not least because Doki is now fancying himself a Soulless main, Tim. He's jumping on towards does that, and Stomping haven't seen the Denari buffs. Lasers now doing damage, getting that. I call it more the content creator change there, where you can block the line of sight between two of those trips, and it's denied. The shield, the laser doesn't show. You step out the way immediately, and they reappear straight away. And I've seen some really funny clips people using to like instantly kill shield players or stun them, for example. Now, I don't think you're going to see it at the pro level, but it could still find its way into something, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'd be surprised to see it, like you say, in kind of tier 1 competitive play, or at least see it like consistently. You know, we might have it as a little pocket play at some point. But yeah, absolutely. You know, for those of you at home in your ranked games playing Denari, it can be a great way of dealing with the shields. How about that for it being a great way of dealing with the repelling player? Shaiko taken down by Doki. Doki's got himself on this Solus. He's reinvigorated. He had a little bit of a slow first half.
No,
he's
he hasn't.
absolutely flying. I've cast a curse in full effect. Solotov takes him down. They knew where he was. I think he overstayed his welcome a little bit. Needed to be a bit more slippery there. They knew exactly where he was. The challenge was coming, and they've got it done. But 4 versus 4. And yeah, you're absolutely right about those Denari buffs there. We've seen the damage go up to 20 as well. So just a little bit more lethality on that gadget. The other changes that have come in have been revolving around his secondary shotgun, the Glaive 12, and it's been kind of an increase in damage and things, you know, when you're thinking about it as a gunfight weapon. Shaiko not happy with the run out from Doki.
I'm not blaming all either as well. Again, I think you'll see a lot more Rise of Solus now that you get all this extra information. Then kills every single round. No, actually Doki in round 2, he got you on the entry. You definitely didn't kill him back then.
It's looking, I don't dislike this from Falcons. They've got themselves that solar side push kind of building slowly. Time's going to be the problem. They've got Breathe in there with the shield. They've got the wall open with the ace. It's making Alamau's position more and more difficult for him to hold on to here. He's got double window to worry about. He's got the shield. He's got solar window to worry about. If they can clear this bathroom position, Falcons are, you know, in a real good spot to go on and take this. 30 seconds though, that's going to be the problem.
Joker's enjoying being the spectator of this end of round by the looks of it, but it's G2 that come out on top. A flurry of 4 kills, fly on through, and Tim, dare I say it, they're just 1 round away from taking us to OT. This looked pretty done when it was 5-2 to Falcons. It looked even worse after the tack timeout, and they got a win to take it to 6-3, but now we're looking pretty dangerously close.
Well, the interesting thing for G2 is the original rotation they went with. So when I said they needed to win 7-8-9, when that was, you know, the real focus for them, get themselves back in, you know, touching distance before Falcons got that opportunity to close it out. They went with bar game, in which they won, kitchen down, in which they won, and then they went to basement, which they lost. So they've come back to the rotation, and instead of doing the same thing, they've gone to bar gaming first of all again. Fine, got the win there in round 10. Then they've gone to top floor master office. Now yeah, this is the site choice that I expected. So then it gives them that round 8 site that they had, kitchen and dining. They've already won this, and now they have the opportunity, G2, to go on and do the same again to get themselves in to overtime. If we have a look at how that round went last time they played it in round 8, there was 4 left alive from G2 at the end of the round. It was a convincing victory from them on the defense. And also, interestingly, it's not often that we get this kind of stat showing up. I can't remember the last time that I saw it this cleanly. Every entry kill in the first half was Falcons, and every entry kill in the second half has been G2 so far. If they get this one here, it will be an even 6-6 split. There we go. The League Facts ruined it for us.
It's gonna look, it was about to look so beautiful, and it's been shut down. I'm so upset. But so be it. Is that a sign of which way this round is going to go, though? Well, time will tell. It's the Jaeger that's offline there, not the biggest operator to lose. The player, maybe most definitely here. Stomping was second highest fragger on the team. Doki, of course, currently leading the charge on that front, looking to cause bother. But as long as Falcons don't leave too much out for him here, he could be in a spot where he finds himself impeded by the Lion, by the Dockerby, and by the Monty.
Dockerby Cole will go out. There's no mute jammers on side, of course, so no opportunity for G2 to be escaping those calls. They will have to just switch their phones off. Alamau has done, interestingly. Everybody else will follow suit as the call ends, and we see the debuff drop away from a front their player cards. How about this challenge? It's too easy for Doki. Takes down Solotov, 4v4.
All right, nice stuff. I was curious on the count, by the way, of how many times Solus has been played this game. I think now we're knocking on the door of 8 times. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Of the 12 rounds we've had, Solus played 8 times. Like a small chase to a shotgun, guys, and a bit of range, you can do a hell of a lot. And sometimes you can see those small numbers in patch notes. It just goes to show they can do a hell of a lot of work. What a shot by Leakafat, though. Solus taken offline. Leakafat reminding Doki there's only one Solus man in this lobby, and it's certainly not the Scotsman himself. Falcons 4 versus 3. They've got a call, they've got another scan, they've got a shield on side. This is going to start to feel torturous for these last 2 players on the G2 side. Alamo and Blast. They've got it all to do.
Yeah, Lair taken down there on the back of that door could be cold. We're going to see it just wearing out as the debuff drops away from Blaz. 2v4 though, Falcons, plenty of time. They've got a minute. They've no idea. They've no idea that Alamo's waiting inside of the closet. This Lion is strafing across. It's only a matter of time until he picks up a freebie. Alamo takes down Shaiko, and this just became winnable for G2. 2v3. 40 seconds though, that's the problem.
They know he's there. They know he's there. No, 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 a free fire from the window. Users don't do it to him. No, he was just a young boy. Blaz is gone. Alamo's out too. And although it came so close for G2, Falcons take map 1, 7-5.
I think we're going to see some really good siege, but I just think Falcons coming out of Chalet, they've got that win. There's going to be a lot of motivation to push on and get it done in 2, you know, move on to that grand final later on today, get those SI points, everything that goes with it. I don't know. G2, I'm sure will show us something else. I'm just not feeling like they're that hot today. We saw them yesterday and there was a lot of big superstar moments. There was a lot of hero plays and we're just not having it today. You know, where are they? Who's really going crazy?
Yeah. We're missing the hero plays, is all I'll say. It's the key thing that's been missing for G2's gameplay so far. I spoke about it a lot earlier. We had 8 in 1 map yesterday. I want to say back on Chalet, by count when I checked earlier, we were at like 1. We didn't get a second. Nope. It was just a Doki 4K in round 5, and they lost that round, Tim. So I'm a little bit like, how much can we see them bringing out the big players when they need them? Who's going to be that superhero? Who's going to don the cape for them to get some rounds on the board, especially the tough ones that otherwise wouldn't be won? BDS had that X Factor in map 1. BDS. Falcons had that X Factor. I'm still doing it, Tim. How long's it been now?
A good while nowadays.
How long? Are we talking? Has it been since? Not since Reload, was it? When did they move over? They were there for SI, weren't they?
Yeah.
Crikey, nearly a year. It's got to stop at some point. It's like a virus.
What I will say is, to at least help you out a little bit, they were BDS longer than they've been Falcons. So, you know, that's about
I bet by some margin as well, so I think we've got a bit of leeway to play with.
That's the best I can say for you, Des. That's the best.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Well, let's see how we go then. Things are starting up on the top floor, and G2 are rolling out the shields here in round 1. Blitz was taken away from them on the last map, along with the Deimos. Now that it's available, Lair is jumping onto it. And yes, there's no Blitz, but there is still a shield being rocked out. Let's see if G2 can attack with a little more bite than what we saw back on the last map, because as we remarked in that first half, Tim, we didn't really see the G2 that we used to. They were lacking this big element of team play where they could all swamp in at quite high pace and overwhelm their opponents. They made it quite leisurely for Falcons overall. So I've got to see that dynamic change here on Lair.
G2 just racing the drones through underneath, having a look across their operators. It's going to be all about Lair getting in there and trying to use that vendetta from below, try and get those tracks, try and make it difficult for Falcons to stay in position. Falcons know that that is what's likely to happen. It's something that Shaiko does himself. It's, you know, not an uncommon tactic for them on the Deimos on this map. So the question is, how do they deal with it? Alamo is already pushing Solotov out of position, looking to force him back to site. That's what's going to happen any second now.
We have those 2 Goyo canisters inside a highway as well, though. They're going to dance around and be a bit of a nuisance to clear out once they're done. Of course, it's a good burn time before the shield and keep on marching forward. Think of it like back when we used to see Oregon in the pool. You have a player playing around big tower stairs from defending basements, take out a few drones and fall back. You're seeing Solotov really here looking to do exactly the same. He's not really playing his life for it. He's been out there to waste a bit of time, to draw us down to halfway through the round, shoot through a couple of drones, make sure that Lair never really felt comfortable pushing him from below and then steps back in towards sight. Insofar as that goes, Solotov's done a really good job there at the start of the round to waste time.
Interesting for a top floor attack that G2 have brought along no hard breach whatsoever. So they're going to have to use those doors. I think they're really going to be reliant on Alamo creating some space. Nice play to take down Solotov and damage Leakerback at the same time. The Clash has just taken a lot of damage there and a bit more. Needs to be very, very careful now. This isn't about playing his life anymore. This is about not losing it. And this nade is likely going to do the job if he's not careful. Lyra just puts it away at the wrong time. But 5 versus 4, 5 versus 3 as Blaz does manage to find Shaiko. G2, strong advantage now. But Users fights back.
Yeah, getting at least something going for his team. Here's a good start. And LeBlanc James is down. He's got a 2K from playing out on that south balcony. It's been picked off, taken out. So now who out of these last three is be the ones to turn the tide? We've got a shield still standing on both sides. A couple of smokes, a couple of flashes, a solitary frag that's now being tossed out. Try and displace the Clashes on pretty low HP. It's worth stressing, Tim. But as long as he's standing, Leakerback can keep on zapping away. It's free information. It's slowing them down. It's making life easier for his other two teammates. And I tell you what, not much you can do about that, I'm afraid. They're going to run him down here as well. All they've got to do is spray the feet, and that's all they get away with, Tim. It's all they've got that to look for. 3 in a 1 versus 3. G2 here with 3 seconds to go. Question mark. Surely that led with a double dip as he tried to dart back around. Yes, he has. Got away with 1. Looking for the next, but lost it to the 1 versus 1. Oh, so close. But Alamau with the pistol saves it for his team. But my God, Brede of old was almost back.
Goodness me, that was close, wasn't it? When Brede hits that second, you'd think he's got a chance here because the timing was kind of working for him. Alamau was just about to come off that diffuser, and you know that he's not going to be protected behind that shield. That was his moment. Brede recognised that and went for it, but Alamau, cool as you like, got to the pistol, managed to get the kill. Well, that was a really close round. I was concerned for G2 on the attack, how well they were going to fare without any hard breach for them to kind of work behind. It meant that Map's wall was left close. I know that Ibana and Ace have been taken out, but you know, no thermite, no secondary hard breach gadgets, and it left so much of the defense intact. But ultimately, at the end, I think that was a big moment there as Lyra picks up Users. Users kept checking the door, checking back to the breach, checking the door, and the timing just wasn't with him. And it was on one of those breach checks that he got swung from the door, lost out, and I think that was the one that really carved a path for G2.
Super, super close. Very unfortunate not to get away with it there, but that is how the cookie crumbles. G2 starting things off in much better form than what we saw on Chalet. Yeah, we saw those first 3 rounds that they lost weren't particularly the greatest. They forced attack timeout after round 3 for them to bounce back and get one in round 4. Then they found nothing for the next couple. It was a very, very rough half. So I'd like to see them on the board early on here. Could have been in slightly more convincing fashion. Didn't have to let Brede scare us all like that, but you'll take a round on the board regardless. Still, more of the same coming in this round as well. Monty on board, Clash on the other side, the shield war carrying on, but Stompin has stepped across onto playing the Rowra Tim. We saw a little bit of this yesterday coming out. I want to say it was Laura that played it, but either way, they tried to make good use of it and try and pull off a couple of executes with it. Not quite to the effect they wanted, but I'm always very curious to see what teams have got in mind when we see a Rowra being brought along.
Yeah, I like Rowra. I like the operator. I like the gadget. I still don't think that we've seen it. It's still, you know, and this is completely okay. Still quite niche when we see it brought along in attacks. Very specific circumstances that teams are going for, and we haven't, I don't think, seen any of those like real. It's kind of like, I put it in the same bracket as Oryx. You know, we've got this dream use of it that we want to see, and it's a little bit far and sort of few and far between are the examples where we really get to see it used clinically like that. But we have, you know, on occasion seen some brilliant uses of it, and I'm sure that that will continue. Let's see if G2 can be another one of those examples here on the attack. We've just got a little bit of vertical work coming in from Stompin there. Needs to be careful. Players below him are aware they are going to bring the hard breach this time as well, G2. So they're not going to be stuck just to those doors. Interestingly, using the often forgotten curve feature of the boogie drone there. A lot of people forget that that's possible. You can set it off in a straight line or a curve line. More damage done. Users Leakerback, both on low health.
Yeah, keeping the debate here is the main worry they've got to play for, because that long angle is always going to be a threat. Stomping though. Gets ready to use the second one, falls as Leakerback hits the deck. This is great for G2. 60 seconds to play, and we're getting the plant down. Alamau standing over his little brother behind him here of Doki. Nothing they can do to stop him. This one's going down, and Brede is completely out of sorts. They had no idea this was going on, Tim, and now they've got to find a way to recover. This is a tall order for Falcons to fight back.
Doki manages to pick up Shaiko. Not only does he get the plant, but he gets in on the action with the kills as well. Flawless round, and it is looking very good for G2, making Falcons look a little bit pedestrian here on Lair. You know, we quite often think of them as one of the best teams in the world on this map, but right now, G2 look head and shoulders above over those first 2 rounds.
It was a really weird one. I was looking at the stats as the Des was speaking about it. Like, although Falcons are 6-1 on this map over the last 6 months, it's actually 7th out of 9th in their map preference. And when we speak about preference, we plug in all kinds of numbers. I'll give fresh credit on this one. He's the one who shared the numbers with me. Based on when they ban it during a veto, if it's a first ban, it gets like quite heavily weighted as being a map they don't like. If they ban it very, very late, they're okay with it. If they let it go through, then of course they quite like it. So it's not a map that, in terms of ordering, it's all of the maps they're like super hot and wanting to play. But when they do play it, they're like, yeah, we can play it. We can do all right in this one. Like, as far as the thing I understand it, it's mainly been deciders. They've had it picked against them twice. So it's not a map they ever choose to go to. Admittedly, a lot of the games have played them in best of ones, so that certainly helps. But overall, it's a map they will play. It's a map they can win, but it's certainly not a map they would say to you, oh, it's one of our favorite maps that we always want to play. Absolutely not. Whereas the thing about speaking to Doki, and I remember once upon a time, I think you may have been in the conversation, Tim, he was saying, oh yeah, one of the best Lair teams in the world, like we love Lair. And you can see it again. They've got a 5-0 record on it over the last 6 months. It is their 2nd highest preferred map. They do like playing on this map and want to play here quite often. Admittedly, maybe not given quite as many bites at the cherry as Falcons have been, but don't count them off for sure. I think you could probably find that this half carries on with them being quite strong. We go into the defensive side and they clean things up there quite handedly. And we have to see how things go down on border. And I think, as we all know, Tim, you go to border, all bets are off.
Yeah, they really are. It just comes down to an absolute mess of gunfights and kind of utility dumps and see what sticks. But for the time being, we're going to have to get to border still. G2 have got themselves 2 rounds, but you know that doesn't count Falcons out. They're going to continue fighting on the defense. Interestingly, the attacking side is actually better for both of these teams on Lair in general. So, you know, we are kind of expecting this trend to continue for the time being. Little bit of attention on the door there, but they're just going to be chased away. I think that was the Goyo of Solotov, if I'm not wrong, from his outline. But we'll be backed up. We'll be forced away. G2 have got themselves into ops now. They'll know that the aggression is coming from Leakerpack, but being half health, he doesn't want to push too far forward here, give his life away. So G2 now confidently in control of ops. They've got Stomping on the breach. He's doing plenty of that work as well. So this gives G2 more options than maybe they had in the first round.
I always love seeing the keeper setups inside of ops as well, by the way. Like, I know obviously Shaiko's not playing there anymore. He has been forced back, but seen some real cool like opportunities around it, and that is one that I didn't quite expect. Breaking off the keeper, exposing Alamau, thought it was then safe to play behind, and he's just been picked up for free there. A second one falls as well. G2 being picked apart here by Falcons, who have kind of lulled them into a false sense of security.
There was always going to be a point where Falcons would fight back on Lair. We knew that, and I think we are seeing it here and now. 5 versus 2 as Solotov manages to pick up Doki as well. Big round from him. Stompin does manage to get one back, but it's likely to be nothing more than consolation. The round will close out. 2-1 now to G2. The Falcons, at the 3rd time of trying, managed to get themselves on the board.
Yeah, that round felt a little bit more Chalet-esque, didn't it? Where Falcons were sort of happy to say, you know what, you take over ops, no problem. But as soon as ops was in G2's control, as soon as it opened up the mez wall, bam, Shaiko's there looking to go aggressive. 2 players around bathroom, challenging down towards Rocket. They're springing forward and looking to fight against G2 and not give them enough ground. Very, very reminiscent of the round where G2 had half the rounds get control of Master, Office and Piano. Then as soon as they looked towards Bar and Gaming, well, bam, that's when Falcons exploded outwards. That felt very, very reminiscent of that to me at the very least, and it's good to see Falcons on the board. You played that first quarter. I imagine now we'll see 3 of those sites, or the same 3 sites, sorry, replayed as we go on through. I think we were going to start things down in the basement, Tim, so a small step away from where you might expect up on the top floor, but of course we've just seen that. So instead we have to break order ever so slightly and kick things off down in the basement.
Okay then, we're just looking across the lineup for the defenders. We've got a lot of things there to slow G2 down. I think more aimed at dealing with, we've seen the shield play coming along. Doki's actually going to switch away and go for the IQ instead. The FNATs, you've got the impact nades, 8 of them there. That screams at dealing with shields. You've got Goyo canisters, you've got Malusi with the Banshees. You know, so much there aimed at slowing a team down, burning wanting time out and just wanting to make G2 have to take their time, have to clear that utility. Alamau is on the blitz, so they have gone with a shield, and I feel like Falcons lineup does definitely play into that. I think it's once bitten, twice shy.
You'd hope so, Tim, but we'll see how much work they can get done with the blitz. It was banned away from them last map, and we know that Alamau loves to go past him. And look at that! Forget about your Goyo canisters, kids. I'm coming in towards Sight. Nino stepping on force, but so far finding absolutely no one. Sight is theirs, though, Tim, and players that were off on the roam. In this case, Uses have got a double back. Rapid. Alamau shut down. Brine with a headshot. For now, at least it feels like somewhat stabilized, but Stomping. He's off. He's waiting. Gets one. Gets two, but can't quite get the third. At least now pulls us down to a 3 versus 3. No, Blad's falling down. Certainly not going to help Tim. Doki's got to win this fight. It ain't happening. Leaking back with a 2K. And although it looks so good to start off for G2, Tim, they got in towards Sight and then it kind of became a, well, now what? And this is the outcome.
I think G2 were actually a victim of not finding anybody there. I think had they gone into Sight and found people, that would have been a very different situation. But like you said, it didn't seem like much of a plan beyond, right, we go in and we kill a few people in Sight and then we go from there. It was like, oh, there's nobody here to kill. What now? You know, there wasn't a plan to, you can't really be putting the diffuser down in that situation. And so it was kind of like, and then that couple of seconds pause just gave Bride the opportunity to take Alamau down. That's the tip of the spear broken off. That's your blitz gone. They've got a big problem. They'd kind of circumvented all that utility that had been brought to deal with that. And they just couldn't get anything done. And Falcons held on really well. That was a really nice defense from them. They weren't rattled at all. You know, once you've got an Ash and a blitz inside a Sight, it's easy, you know, for heads to be lost. But no, calm heads prevailed and they got the round done nice and comfortably. 2-2.
All right. And just like that, when G2 looks so watertight and rock solid, Falcons have fought their way back in and we've got things all dead even. Still more the same by the looks of it. Shields being matched off against Shields, as we've seen a few times. Doki, as we said about Clash, doesn't really strike me as a Monty play. You'd normally see Alamau on that, but I think he's sick and tired of having a shield in front of his face. He wants to get back on the Ash, or maybe even the Nook. Maybe they'll change things around a little bit here last second. He'll stick on the Ash. And this one feels a bit more aggressive as a lineup coming out from G2. We'll see what they can get done with it.
Gonna have the sense. Keep an eye on Lair. Always a factor in that diffuser going down. We know exactly what to expect on this side. Of course, there's going to be the hard breach come straight in onto this wall, and then it's going to be a case of using the smoke canisters. Doki's got two in pocket, and the sense light walls to try and create a bit of space, to try and create an opportunity to put that diffuser down. It's going to be Doki who's looking to go for the plant. And we've seen an increase of Doki's use of shields over the last sort of 6 months or so. Certainly showing himself at times to be a proficient multiplayer.
Oh, maybe so. Now, at least steps his way forward here, Alamau. And Falcons dropping their way back ever so slightly here. Happy with some of the work they've done on the top four, leaving 3 players up there for the most part. More time still to waste. Clash, one of the last ones you want to see step away, but like I say, Alamau has gone hunting. He had a bit too much of sitting behind a shield. Tim has gone in, got rid of Shisko, and now putting the fear of God, I think, up the side of Falcons to say, hey, we are here, we are already sniffing around at your back on. You've got to be damn well careful. But sadly, Doki looks a little bit stuck here, in a little bit no man's land. He's still going for now. Managed to dance his way around. Things not looking too bad for them until Stomping gets shut down. Uses into a second, playing around this Clash shield so well, relieving all pressure on his team here. Laura going to get taken out and traded too by Uses, who was waiting for him to step out. And Solotov with another. Falcons 3 rounds in the row, and they're in the lead.
Top floor clearance never really happened for G2 there, did it? I think Doki getting pinched with one on either side when he was on green stairs was a big problem because, of course, it's your shields that you want to create a bit of space for you. It's your shields that you want to chase those extended players, those roamers back and force them away. And Doki just couldn't get moving because of that challenge coming in from Sight. It was smart play from Falcons to catch that rear side of him, get onto the flank almost, and just be able to pressure him. And as you saw from there, it kind of just dropped apart because they never had that top floor control. So what do you build from? At that point, Falcons are able to then start just picking them apart one by one, taking the fights as we see there and winning them out. So good stuff from Falcons. G2 need to be gaining more map control. I think that's one of the things, not just in that round, but in some of the other rounds as well. Round 1, I know they won the round, but it was close. It came down to that 1v1. It was late in the round. They were kind of pushing in. It was 3v3. They were trying to get the opportunity to put the diffuser down, and I just feel like they've had a little bit of a lack of map control at times. So I think this time, get in there, decide where the push is coming from. If you're opening up mask wall and ops, open them up and get confident control of that area in a way that you can move in and put the diffuser down. Make sure that Falcons are being forced back and held at bay.
Well, no shield this time around, Tim, but definitely got those Candelas being rolled out by Alamal. My main worry being, last time they tried this was when they're pushing towards ops, if you recall, and Shyko stepped across, saw an impact coming hit on towards the keeper, and he sprayed Alamal down. They never really got the chance to make use of those Candelas. That should be the big change in this round, alongside the bunch of smokes they've got along, 4 in back pocket, along with the smokes coming out from the Capital. They've got a lot of execute focus utility here. Just need to really, if nothing else, not lose players on your approach to the site or in getting yourself ready for it and getting control of some of the map, because you're going to need as many men alive as you can here to make the execute stick.
Lair just having a good bit of trigger discipline there. Sees the feet head across, so he knows that there's somebody on that opposite side, but doesn't want to give his position away. That's understandable if there's not a realistic opportunity of a kill. Just going to bide his time until maybe a better one presents, and then the jaws will snap shut. Still 5 versus 5 as we find ourselves moving out of that first minute. Solitov played in this position last time and was pretty effective from there at stopping G2 getting into the building. That's going to continue to happen. We did hear the first one of those Candelas goes out. There goes another, but how about that from Users? He's full white and still manages to find the shotgun onto Doki. Shako picks up Alamo. Blaz gets something going for G2, but it looks like it could be a Falcons half.
Yeah, looking like it's going that way, unless we can see Stompin and Laura pull something out the bag here. But so far, the resistance shown by Falcons has been excellent. They've danced around everything that G2 have thrown at them and still managed to find a way through. And hold on now with that man advantage situation. You get a bit of a pause because admittedly there's still so much time left, Tim. Don't forget that was only halfway into the round when this all kicked off. Laura looking for his man, right kind of idea, but he knows behind the keeper. No, he does not there. Chose the wrong direction and pays the price for it. Stompin left in a 1v3. What started out so well for G2, a 2-0 start, looks like it's going to end 4-2. A great effort by Falcons to pull this one back.
Yeah, they've really dug deep, haven't they? Stompin manages to get one kill. No more for him, though, as Users picks him up. And that's going to be Falcons, as you say, taking that better half. And the problem that G2 face now is, as I've said, both of these teams, and there's not a huge amount in it, but both of these teams historically are actually better on the attack on Lair than they are on the defense. So coming away with a 4-2 half for Falcons is a really big start. It's not to say that, you know, those fortunes aren't going to reverse here, that G2 can't come back into it, but you know, right now Falcons, I would say, certainly in the driving seat, especially having that first map in the bank already on Chalet as well. And you're going to be looking coming in with the bans here, taking away the Electro Bros. Kaid and Bandit will be gone. That's going to facilitate some breaching with a lot more ease. It's going to, of course, limit the defenders to just the mute to try and deny those hard breachers. And we haven't actually had too many of the other hard breachers banned in the opposite direction by G2. They took Monty out. They have got rid of the Thermite, but there's still Havana, there's still Ace available. Solitov picks Ace immediately, so Falcons, I think, have got the tools that they need here. They've got the Blackbeard, they've got the Deimos. There's going to be pressure from below. There's going to be pressure from those corridors as Brede forces the defenders back. This is going to be a tough one, especially when the Candelas start rolling in.
You mentioned the stat earlier about how both teams over the last 6 months have been better attackers than defenders on this map. But I look back at it, it was before. Falcons on the attack, a 71% attacking win rate. 20 of 28 rounds they've won on the attack. That is ludicrous. Like, and you might look at Lair and go, oh, it's because the attacker sided, right? No. When you look globally over the last, over stage 2 itself, playoffs included, all around the world, it's bang in the middle. It's our 5th like most defense. Well, take it as attacker or defender sided if you want, but it's bang in the middle when it comes round to side balance out of all of our other maps. So it just shows that both teams are really good at attacking it. G2 have rocked up with a big, heavy stall comp here to try and slow them down. Something tells me Falcons aren't going to be that easy to impede or take out, Tim.
No, I would agree with you. I think a big key here is dealing with Shaiko. I said in the first half, I think it was the first round of the first half, you know, Shaiko's role on Deimos, playing underneath, making life miserable for the defenders above. That's exactly what he's going to do. That's what he always does. So they need to have a plan to deal with that. I'm just having a look at the minute. Nobody on the side of G2 is playing underneath. So there's a possible opportunity for Shaiko to get in there and cause a little bit of mayhem should that be part of the plan. As it is, Solotov has taken quick and confident control. That was something else I spoke about. Quick, confident map control. He's gone in and he's taken ops within the first minute using those Selmas. We're going to have the secondary breach charges being put on Mask Wall. This is really good from Falcons so far.
Yeah, it's early doors, but asking the right questions, going in the right sort of places. Love the placement, to be fair, at that as well. As soon as they step in through those breaches, immediately bashed out, unless, of course, they can get verticals opened up from below. Which we have got. I want to say it's Leakifat working in below with the DMR, trying to open things up from below here, put a little bit of threat on to these players of G2 on the top floor to stop them getting too comfortable here, make them be respectful of angles below as well as ones laterally. No one hanging near that breach yet as well. For all intents and purposes, Falcons have backed away from that and said, you know what, we'll go and look elsewhere. And Leakifat's rewarded with a kill from below onto Stomping. A free kill, essentially, one that really didn't need to be given.
I feel like Shaiko needs to be getting the track onto Lair at this point. That is exactly who he is going to track. He's the one that they need to force away. Takes his shots, does do damage. Can't find the kill, but the space may well be created. Lair has no option but to keep fighting here, because once Falcons clear him out of this position, which they've done, there will be an opportunity for them to go in and think about getting the diffuser down. I think they need to move with aggression here and go and take that ground.
As soon as they try, they might find themselves getting blasted out by the LA Gadget, the Grismot, as well as they're ready and waiting. The moment comes through and they've got a lot of stall to play behind, but the problem is, Tim, like you said, they can kind of just walk up here and go aggressive, but Chaiko tries for it and Doki puts him in the ground. In they step, left, right, forward, up, down. They are absolutely everywhere. Falcons rolling over G2 here. Plant going down and sticking to that 71% attacking win rate. Alamau is not going to be able to save this one.
No, I wouldn't expect so. He moves forward, trying to find something, but the clock is working against him now. He's got 30 seconds to more than likely need to find 4 kills. Users cuts him down as he steps into bathroom corridor, and that is a beautiful attack from Falcons. I was sort of anticipating and needing that aggression from them to get in. Doki actually slowed it down. It was good movement from him as Lair gets taken out. Doki's come in and replaced him on that desk position. We know how important it is, and with the Tachanka, he's able to use the Shamika a little bit just to try and slow things down, but as I said, aggression from Falcons. You've got the ground, the blood's in the water, get in there and take it. And that's exactly what they did. Beautiful stuff from them, and it gets them their first attack on Lair. G2, they know that they're in trouble here. Tactical timeout.
Absolutely, and not surprising. In fact, I'm almost like, I think it's good they've had attack timeout here. I know it's only 1 round into the half, but on their side, you leave it another round, you're down 6-2, and you've got no choice. You have to take the attack timeout. Yeah, there's no point trying to wait for us to see 2 or 3 rounds play out before you go for it. If you know that if you don't fix things now and correct the game plan, get momentum up, whatever it might be, the energy we often hear about teams speaking about is where the coaches get to step in and say, guys, we're not speaking to each other, come on. I think they can probably see that their heads are a little bit dropped at this point. They're not quite up to scratch as to the G2 that we know. And Falcons are on another level today, really handing it to G2. And they look to be the ones who will move on and secure at least 150 SI points with that chance to fight against Secret to take all 300.
Yeah, Falcons just seeming to grow more and more into this game the longer it continues.
Yeah.
It's been, it was a... I won't call it a wobbly start for both teams on Chalet, but it wasn't the best siege you're ever going to see these 2 teams play either, is the reality of it. Struggling on attack a little bit, but it was fully expected. Let me, make sure I get that in there. It was fully expected. It's not a map that neither of them are, necessarily fantastic on. But, I think Falcons, they're the ones that have really earned this victory at the minute. They've come in, they've got beaten up a little bit in the first 2 rounds by G2, and then gone 4 back-to-back, now make it 5 with their first attack. Just great stuff from them.
All right, well, let's see how this TAC timeout serves G2. So far in our series, TAC timeouts have looked pretty fruitful for the team that took them. Of course, we saw G2 winning their only round in the first half of Chalet off the back of the TAC timeout. Falcons took theirs in the second and I believe went on to do the same. So let's see if the same trend carries through here to Lair and can turn G2's fortunes around, because my God, they need something here. If not divine intervention, Tim, then a little bit of a miracle. But hopefully some lifted heads and a bit of better gunplay, and we'll find ourselves with a round on the board. The mirror window being taken out here makes it really hard to try and get anything down, because as soon as you do, there's impacts and C4s that can rain on through. When you're relying solely on making use of a Selma, for example, to get that done, well, G2 are happy to play that game all day long.
Yeah, absolutely, they will be. Interesting side choice from G2 here, going to bunks and briefing rather than down to the basement. We often see the basement being that second choice, or in some cases even the primary choice bomb site. But yeah. G2 just holding on to it for the time being and deciding instead to go to the mid floor. They're pretty aggressively fighting any Falcons progress here. You can see them looking to take that spray on Lair, just fighting in and out of sight there. There's only 2 up above. We would normally see a stronger top floor hold from defenders on this one. So that's maybe an opportunity for Falcons to go in there and take that ground. There's 3 on site for G2. So go in, take that verticality and start using it a bit.
Absolutely. Well, the first score coming out here, I spoke a lot already about Dockerby throughout this series of both teams, really, but I still always think back to Falcons as being one of those main proponents of making use of her, to start pushing on forward, to get a bit of control, to gain that awareness, so you're not being snapped off, but also really to enable, as I mentioned, players to move on forward. In this case, it was Shaiko that I'm looking at. Stepped across a lot of that second floor off the back of that phone call. No track that came out to join it at the very, very start, but at least it forces G2 back and gives Falcons a bit of room, Tim, because right now they need that. We're down to the last 60 seconds, and they're only really just starting to get control of this top floor. There is still work to do.
Yeah, it's looking like almost a different Falcons team than the one we saw on the last attack. They've not really had the answers to gaining map control, not had too much aggression. It's not to say they're not going to win the round, but that's not going to help them as Doke takes down Shaiko. That is going to be the Deimos gone, and it's a big part of the possibilities for this attack if they were able to get that top floor control. They know there's one around the corner. Alamau wins it out. Somehow Stompen joins the party as well, looking after his fellow player up on the top floor. 5 versus 2, and despite G2 only playing with 2 on the top floor, they've been able to come away with a flawless round and hold on brilliantly. Falcons nowhere near them that round.
You can see just how aggressive G2 are being as well, willing to fight them at the entryway into the building. I was a bit confused then, admittedly. I really thought Usus, when he stepped round that corner, the shield drawing all the attention, at the very least get a free kill onto the Dockerby. Just didn't quite come out, unfortunately, and well, you can see how things transpired from there. Not the Dockerby, sorry, it was the DMR on the other side, but either way, in a spot where I thought surely he'd walk away with at least 1 kill, if not 2. Well played by G2. Interestingly, I believe it was in the IGL Summit video we saw earlier on when they were talking about the strats, that they were saying, oh, Shaiko's the one who always gets a couple of kills up through verticals. It always happens. This time now, it's Doki getting that kill onto him on the reverse. Wonderful stuff.
Moving to round 9 then, this battle continues. Falcons, you still feel, have the advantage on the scoreboard, but also I think a little bit in the mentality there. However, G2 getting themselves that round after coming out of the tack timeout, I'm sure is going to do a lot for them. Whatever was said by Romalio has certainly had an impact. We're going to see them, rather than going down to the basement, will look across at that other mid-floor site, which is, again, a bold choice. It's not one that we see too often, but G2 over the years have shown us time and time again that they don't mind doing things differently. They don't mind being the pioneers on maps that bring those new strategies.
Sure. Well, it's not quite the full turtle that we saw of earlier rounds, Tim, but it isn't a mile off as well. Stomping more left to be the free gun here to go and get busy around the map. And a pretty good day so far as well. We look back on Chalet, remember us talking about him being sat on 8 kills when Doki was up on 12. Here he's back at that 8 again, leading his team for kills overall too. So when I give him the gun to say, go have some fun there, go and try and disrupt. My only worry, Tim, is he's coming up against 2 shields and a Deimos. That is a lot of, screw you, you're going to die. Operators running at your face and looking to cause bother here. So I think it just gives Falcons the ability to go that little bit quicker if they want to, step on the gas and try and catch out a couple of players of G2 who are stepping a bit too far away from safety.
Just pinging out a little, not really pinging much of anything actually. I thought they'd maybe just seen a bit of movement or heard some footsteps or something, but nothing will be gained from that. Have Doki on the Tachanka again. Shamika starts firing out. Nobody there to slow down for the time being, but Toki just very aware that it's a possibility. I love this angle when it's played on the short side like this. It's Alamau who's in that position, currently being tracked, but there's just nothing that Shaiko can do because he knows that Alamau has just got that big shotgun there. He's going to play close, and it just shows the sign of a great shotgun player. Is, you know, being able to select your battlefield. What works for you? Where are you going to benefit from that weapon, from those close engagements? And Alamau is just set up beautifully for that.
Yeah, rather than exposing himself to a pixel, for example, and giving Shaiko the one-shot headshot, play a little bit wider for Shaiko to expose more of himself to you. Being a hit with the shotgun, more likely you walk away the winner. Now, there we go. I'll tell you what, that's unfortunate in a sense there for Alamau. Thought he had the man's number on the other side, but no. Leakerback's in, losing only half of his HP, and they've removed the Warden quite critically to 4 versus 4. But Tim, we're into those last 45 seconds. Falcons have got to step up the pace here.
Yeah, they need to get moving, and the problem is that Alamau got 1 kill before he died, and it was what he was brought to do. Take down the blitz. That's what you want your Warden to be focusing on. 4 versus 4 now. 35 seconds left to go. Breeder needs to maybe get aggressive here on that Blackbeard to create a bit of space, but it's not looking good. Leakerpack is down as well. Shaiko has to go and try and collect him here. 3 versus 4 as he does get back onto his feet, but we've got the Toxic Babe coming out as well. Blaz has another one of those in pocket. I don't see anywhere that Falcons managed to brute force their way in here, and I just wonder if they weren't expecting to attack this site.
Maybe not. That's a freebie every day of the week. Laura's been here forever. A couple of kills for himself, making a third for the round. Shaiko left in a 1v2. He ain't going to get this one, I'm afraid, Tim. That gun for the Jaeger comes out, but sadly doesn't quite collect its first kill since its change. Either way, it's G2 on the board, Tim. 4-5. They're back in striking distance here, and Falcons, they're going to start sweating.
Yeah, we've had an interesting pattern to the round wins so far. We had 2 rounds to G2 to kick things off, 5 back-to-back for Falcons, and then G2 bookend it with another 2 in round 8 and 9 before we head into 10. We're going to have our bans come out, so a third operator for each side. G2 pick an attacker and take away Shaiko's Deimos. And Falcons also get their choice. I think it was Mute that they took away as well. So Shaiko not being able to play the Deimos, which is it's a consistent pick for him anyway, but particularly on this map. We've seen playing the Nomad often elsewhere. We might see him switch across to that, and G2 just deciding that it's been enough of a threat, enough of a nuisance with those tracks coming in. You know, he loves to play below, he loves to play above, try and use that verticality, you know, get on top of players and just make it really oppressive to stay inside of the bomb site. But you're going to have to find a new way to do that, and maybe that's going to be part of the discussion going on in the tactical timeout right now.
That mute ban is really interesting because if you look at this game in isolation, G2 only played it once, and that was in Bunks and Briefing, the offsite, well, the offsite of all offsites, you might say, on this map, Tim. They didn't play it in either of the other 2. So the only reason I can think of them banning it away is, well, there's 2 potential reasons. One, they've seen it been used by them an awful lot in the last quarter of regulation on this map previously, or there's something they're anticipating coming out in general that they thought, okay, well, if we don't ban this away, they're going to ban this away from us, which means they can have a greater impact and do X, Y, and Z with the mute. So it's more kind of trying to be reactive in that sense, or like proactive in what they expect to come out of G2. I don't know. It just looks like a weird one in isolation, but again, I can only imagine looking back at previous games, they've seen them pull this out a few times, where they play a mute an awful lot in the final kind of 3 rounds, so this feels like the time to ban it away. Still a lot of depth, I'm sure, that we'll discover and explore as we go into Munich Major, for example, around that banning system, now that teams have had a fair whack longer with it.
I was just about to say, seeing the Dorkaby, I know we've already had Dorkaby played by Falcons, and it's an operator that they love playing. Seeing the Dorkaby brought along straight after that mute ban, I'm like, yeah, I get it. You know, yeah, you know, you're giving your Dorkaby calls a little bit more power, a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more freedom to that Dorkaby. But even then, they've swapped that away and gone, you know, with the Capitao instead. So, like you say, we'll see how valuable that turns out to be. Look at the G2 lineup, though. Let's not ignore the fact that we've got Blaz on the Bosch G Vigil, and we've got Alamau on the Clash. So they're certainly cooking something here. We've seen them over the last couple of days, willing to be the team that does things a little bit differently, willing to be the team that shakes up the meta and tries these different things, and they're certainly going to continue to do so.
Hoping for the best there and being able to catch even a stray shot on towards the Clash, but Alamau giving absolutely none of it over. The Force back over for a second. Not Alamau, sorry. Breed on the other side. Laura having to then back away. Don't want to hang around that area too long. I think back to the early rounds when Doki, want to say it was back on Chalet, it overstayed his welcome, dare I say, trying to get a second kill and cause a little bit of bother in the bowels of Chalet, gets hunted down and closed out quickly. But at least Laura's acknowledged there. Can't really stay and go for a repeat here. We'll play for the one and then back away. Nice shot from Solosov. Picks off Laura, who did come back asking for afters, Tim. As that Nomad air job went down, thought maybe he had a chance. Absolutely not, says Solosov.
Breeder's just got himself crouched down there, trying to push forward and take a little bit of ground here. Move G2 around, try and maybe find his way into sight, but the clash is going to be the next big sticking point for them. Laz is still up on the first floor above. I think using those impact nades, they've both gone now, but again, just opening up those angles above them to just give Falcons something to think about, give them something to feel uncomfortable about and know that they are likely to be challenged at some point. They can't necessarily just ignore Blaz whilst he's up above like that with that kind of control.
I think they're probably becoming aware of the threat now as well. In round one, it wasn't possible because we were on that top floor, but the last 3 rounds have either been either on the first floor or down here in the basement. And what we saw last round, for example, was Laura getting that 3K from above. Real threat coming in from above them, and so Falcons have to respect it here. And as you've mentioned, it really looks at Blaz. He was hanging around reception, looking for those vertical angles. That's going to be a little bit of a headache for them. They've got to be careful of him. They've got to pay him the respect that he deserves.
Such a close run thing for Shaco here, wanting to peek around that corner onto the Azami, but doesn't. Alamau's going to be cut down 4v2. Big advantage for Falcons as Users continues his roll forward. He's having a big game here, 9 and 5 so far. Manages to take down Stompen. Breeder is in on the plant, and it's all up to Blaz. He's been left out in the cold, as I suggested he might, up above, and now he's got to fight back with a Bosch G in a 1v4. I don't think there's any chance he does this.
And against a shield and a whole load of utility to come out to. Oh, it's just ugly. Like, maybe you get to kill, not even that, Tim. And with that, Falcons move themselves up to match and series points. And maybe even more importantly, Tim, a date with Destiny against Secret.
Yeah, it'd be the big opportunity for them to find some revenge. Of course, Secret beating them in that upper bracket final last week, 2-0, to go on and secure their place in the grand final. And Secret just sitting back and watching this, no doubt, ready to jump in themselves against whoever comes away the victors, which at the minute is looking like it will be Falcons, but there's only 2 rounds this time. Last time on Chalet, it was a much bigger hill to climb, it felt for G2, to be able to get themselves back into it. But this is a map that G2 love. They're 5-0 on it over the last 6 months, winning 2 rounds back-to-back on defense. Really wouldn't put it past them. This is more than possible that we see some overtime out of this map.
You never know, Tim. I kind of feel like we're owed one at least at some point today. Something earlier on was like over-under on number of OTs that you get today. They said, I think we'll see 3. And I was like, ooh, 3. You're saying half of our potential max maps go to OT? You can understand it, given the caliber of teams. The 3 that we've got remaining are undeniably our 3 best teams in Europe, right? But at least in this series, it does feel like Falcons have just been a slight step ahead. Like, Chalet was really close. It was 7-5. It could have gone to G2. This one now, it's 6-4. It still could be pretty close, but it just felt when it's really came down to it, Falcons have had that little edge. G2 have lacked the hero play factor that we had yesterday against Gen G. Admittedly, a team like Falcons aren't going to let you be able to make those kind of plays, because as exciting as 3Ks, 4Ks, and aces are, often they're a result of mistakes being made by the other side, and Falcons just aren't really a team that are going to make too many of them to let you get away with that every other round.
That's that's unfortunate. I was going to say that's a good second impact nade. The first one I thought was going to actually clear both of those Selmas off. Only one left for Leakerfax, so he needs to be careful, because of course Laura has got 2 impact nades in pocket as well and isn't a million miles away from where he would need to be in order to use them. So if they want that breach opening fully up, they need to be very careful that they enable themselves to do it. Last time around, Falcons just were not good on this top floor clearance. They took far too much time, didn't really get any ground, didn't get the kills, and it's not looking any better for them this time, I've got to say. G2 again, with only 2 up there actively fighting. There was a 3rd joining from Skybridge, but Lyra taking down Breeder is just the end of a torrid couple of minutes for Falcons.
Shaco and Leakyfat to pull off a 2v4. Woohoo! I mean, they're the 2 players you want in this situation, Tim. Like peas in a pod, a great pairing. But you are against G2, who, as we saw back on Chalet, do not let these kind of moments slip away. Neither team, to be fair, has been at fault for letting big rounds slip away. And in the 4 versus 2 is the kind of spot where I'd say, even with half a round still to play, you shouldn't be letting it go. But there is every chance, given the 2 players that are still left standing, that it could go that way.
Opening up the verticals, the steel beams in this case don't really work in the favour. Make it difficult to find that angle onto the player underneath, and so it continues as we have the soft breach charges going off as well. G2 have just got them, they played it smart, they've got themselves back to site.
Did Leaky just instinctively stand still when that scan went off from the Lion, by the way?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure he did. He stopped dead and I was like, why have we stopped? Because he could have moved and pulled off the breaching charge. I thought he'd go for that, but no, only carried on moving after it finished. Bless him. That tickled me. Fair play, fair play.
Well, I think we all have that response at times.
Don't shoot the drone, that's the reminder as well.
Here's the telltale noises. Shaco does get in and get one, but he takes an awful lot of damage along the way. Leaky is going for the plant here, but this is the problem. Lair is moved beautifully up above. There you go. Blaz and Stomp and pick him up. Lair was the magnet for the attention from below. Great movement, great understanding from him. They've pushed down. They're on the same floor as us. Right, I'm upstairs. I'm on the Solis. I've got this on Overwatch. Great stuff from G2. Get themselves around 12 out of this at least. And they could be a 13, 14, and maybe even 15 to come.
Absolutely. Do you think we get there, Tim, or are we going to see Falcons just tease us one more time? Same as they did back on Chalet. We all thought we'd get there, and they ripped it away from us at the very, very last second. Do you expect that, or do you think G2 have got what it takes to hold on?
Let's have a look at. I think the sites are actually going to be really important here. So Falcons have won basement and top floor. They've won the primary site choices, generally speaking. We're going back up to the top floor, so I do give the edge to Falcons here. I think they've been very, very good at attacking this site. We've seen that twice from them already, where they've been able to back in round 7. Just it was so solid. The way that they got in there, they took space, they were aggressive through mask wall. It's a tough one, is this, for G2. They did have maintenance available, which they won back in round 9. But I feel like that was a little bit more of maybe a kind of a pocket play. You know, you bring it along. It's not a site that we see played a lot, and I don't think teams will have like multiple strategies for holding on to that. And I think once you've played, it's kind of like playing bar and stage on club. We see it occasionally, but it's kind of like a one and done, it feels. So G2, I think, didn't have too much of a choice but to go up to top floor. But it's going to be a tough one, and I think Falcons could win this.
Last time round, Doki really got bullied on the Chankri. He was sat in the round mask itself behind the desk. That's where he was doing a lot of his dancing, and then had Leaky back off towards his left. He had Shaiko in front of him. Player stepping in through the breach. It was just horrid. Quite difficult to deal with for him, but I think that came down to his team losing and sacrificing control of site itself. So really I think it comes down to the other G2 players here, the ones who aren't holding inside of site, to make sure they don't give up too much ground to Falcons here and give them too much control to be able to pinch in and take out the denial player on the other side.
Again, Falcons have been able to move in and take over ops really quickly. The important thing there is you gain control of that corridor down towards mezzanine and mezzanine stairs, and it prevents any rotations from bathroom corridor through into site that way. You then have to move around the opposite way. So it's a big start for Falcons to get that as a little beachhead. They can now start the breaching going off as well. The external breach will be done. Keep a barricade will just block off the angle from that, but that could almost create a little bit of security for the attackers in many ways.
Lair was keeping dancing around it, but again, that's the big change versus Doki. Last time he had no protection from these various angles and lost his life very easily. Lair has got a lot of protection and still got 2 keepers that he can redeploy. So small tweaks from G2 here to deal with what went wrong last time around. You can see the strategy evolving almost. They're in a good spot here to be able to hold Falcons at bay. But once this firing starts, Tim, that's when things are going to get explosive. I'm looking towards Shaiko here on the Capital and what he does with that gadgetry.
Yeah, they're just waiting. Leakyfax just biding his time underneath, and then he's going to start moving Lair around. That's why he's down there on the book. The Deimos was doing this job last time around, but has been banned out. So instead, Shaiko is up supporting with the Capital, and it's going to be down to Leakyfax to get them moving. As it stands, Lair is still kind of in position. He's taken a lot of damage there, and he is supported by Doki as well. So Falcons, it's not going to be as clear-cut as it was last time that they're able to get in and get aggressive. That's big, though. They take down Dorky. It creates a bit of space, but Leakerback loses his life underneath. G2 might just hold on here, Des.
Setting C4.
They may well just him as C4 comes out. Shaiko's gone too. No more of that gadgetry to rain on through. Out they step. It's down to just Yuzu's, Tim. I don't think he can hold on here. You didn't get a chance to say that line here in map 2. You can say it now, Tim.
We're going to overtime, Des. G2 fought their way back in there. They've delivered the rounds that they needed when they needed them most. 2 in a row, round 11 and 12, and they get themselves another opportunity to close it out. But the big question on everybody's lips right now, who starts on which side?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we'll find that out in just a couple of seconds, I'm sure, Tim. I mean, again, looking at it, it was G2's map pick, am I right in saying?
So, yep, they will have choice over which side they start on.
Do you back yourself on the attacking side? I think I've just heard Falcons on the defense, so G2 chose attack. Okay. I like backing yourself. Fair play, I'll give it to you. But it has been a defender-sided Lair, so disadvantage G2, dare I say.
Well, yeah, it would appear that way. It would appear that way off the first half that they saw, particularly. They did win 2 attacks to begin with, the G2, and one of those was the top floor. Falcons did then win it in round 3 and in round 6. So they went 2-1 on this site in the first half. So kind of, yep, little advantage to Falcons there. Just looking at the attacking lineup. Blaz is going to switch away onto the Lion. Oh no, he's actually going to switch away onto the Striker, but I like the... I was just going to say, I like the Dockerby pick there, but Lair is going to move on to Finker. So Dorky is really important here. We saw Dorky using Monty back in round 5. I'll be honest, it wasn't a particularly successful round. It was a different attempt. It was attacking bunks and briefing. Dorky was there to try and clear out that top floor, but he kind of got cornered and captured on green stairs, and there wasn't much that he could do. He was getting peppered from both sides, so they need to get a little bit more out of this shield than they were able to last time Dorky used it.
He's becoming an old man now who can't play shields. Tim, that could be the way that it's going, or so it has to play shields because he can't shoot. I'm sure, hoping that's not the case. I remember he was joking about it the other day as well about like, what was he? He responded to one of your little content bits where you were speaking about your garden. He was like, oh, you're so old. Yeah, and I was like, trust me, mate, you'll turn 30. Just gardening, golf, running, it'll happen. I'm telling you.
I'm going to send him a screenshot of him on the Monty just with a question mark later on. And that tweet.
What's up near then, Chief?
Yeah, what's going on there?
Oh, poor Jack. Maybe after he's won the game, Tim, and he'll be in a bit better spirits. Otherwise, it'll feel like torture to the poor sod. Either way, let's see how we step then. Alamar, they're ready with the Grim. They know that Leakerback is tucked in.
They don't know.
Oh, no. Doki, you've got to spot him, bro. You've got to spot him. You've got to spot him. No, you can't let it happen. Just look to your left, bro. Just look to your left. No, he's let it happen. No drones? Question mark? Oh, heartbreak. And not a great start to the round for G2, losing out the spearhead of your attack. Now they lose that, you can't look at the rest of the lineup and go, okay then, who's leading the charge here? Maybe Blaz? Still not super ideal. Now a lot for G2 to do to save this round.
G2 send a drone into ops after the damage is done. It's too late now, was the cry, as they then decided to drone out the room, and that's a big mistake from G2. It's far too easy for Leakerback to pick up the shield. Chaiko will be taken down. Alamai managing at least to create a little bit of space. You asked who was going to be that player, who was going to be the saviour in this situation that goes in and gets the kills that they need, that gives them a focus that the Monty was going to do. It was about the spearhead. It was about pushing into corridor. It was about taking ground and having an opportunity. And now they have to find another. 45 seconds left to go. 4 versus 4. They know they're coming into a shotgun, but Lyra can pre-fire here. He just needs to keep shooting around the corner and does. That LMG does its work.
Hit the juice and top your team back up again. Just get yourself a little bit healthier for that next fight. It can make all the difference. A kill for one in Alamau and 1 for Laura. May start bringing this round back, but Tim, there are only 20 seconds to go. There's another smoke to still yet play behind. This could get real messy.
I love the aggression. The attempt at the aggression there from Leakerback, just lying in behind that breach after it went off, but it did not pay off for him. Stomping straight in, getting the diffuser down. Not going to matter if he loses his life, but he will be juiced up by Lyra. They need to be careful with that toxic babe in the air, but it doesn't matter as the kills come in. Of course, Finker's nano boosts will make you, it makes your heart race, so it makes you take damage from those toxic babes quicker than you would do otherwise, but it was ineffective in the end, and G2 get themselves the first overtime round. They back themselves on the attack, and it looks like they might just have been right to.
I was going to turn around and be really cruel to you then and say you spent so much time labbing how much time it takes a smoke to kill someone, how much time it takes a shanker to kill someone,
I don't know when there's
what
a
happens when
finger
they're boosted by a finker. Tim, it sounds like you're getting back in the bank basements tomorrow to go and find out for us, though.
Yeah.
I want to hear that little tidbit next time we come into the cast. Maybe the Unity Mage, you can tell me all about it. But yeah, fair play to G2. I was really nervous when Doki went down early on. I thought for sure they've given away their best chance of being able to save it. A great cheerleader in the round, I'm sure Doki was. But to win out of 4 versus 5 shows that G2 have really grown into this series and now have a chance to take us into border to see who gets that date with Secret in the final.
Yeah, it was an interesting final few seconds for Stomping, really, because he was so low health. Absolutely right to try and give him some HP back from Lair there, but I thought, is he actually going to get him killed here? Because I thought he's been taking damage. You know, he may well inadvertently think, I need to give him some health back, he's going to die, and just find that he then goes, you know, and takes a couple of ticks of damage really, really quickly. But as it was, they all survived, and no harmful, no foul, as G2 go into round 14 with an advantage, 7-6. This is their first opportunity on Lair to close it out. Falcons are the only ones so far who have had a match point. They weren't able to close it out in the 2 attempts that they had. So can G2 succeed where Falcons could not?
Find out very, very shortly, Tim. Their last chance to get it right. Otherwise, as I said, border waits just round the corner. Comes down to round 15, then God knows which way it goes at that point as well. It will have literally been 7 rounds apiece. And side to side, well, good luck knowing. So G2, that would have been their 3rd attack they've won. They've lost 4 attacks overall. It would have been much the same for the side of Falcons. So it'll be hard to call which way it goes when we come around to that close. Again, seeing the Solus being picked up. Laura the one stepping across into this one. We already said we're going to see quite a bit of it today, we expect. And as we said back on that first map, we saw it in 8 of 12 rounds. Here, not quite as popular, but still seeing it in a few.
I'm not really sure about the choices being made by the Hibana here. I'm going to have to criticise Leakback and say, by opening up that bottom corner, but there's no denial possible, so he doesn't need to worry about any kind of tricking or anything. By opening up the bottom corner, he's just allowed 8 of his ex-Kairos to be burnt away when he could have just stacked them up next to each other to begin with. As it is, it's not gone fantastically well either. You can see he's still got a bit in between the breaches. Shaiko does manage to pick up Doki, so that's something for Falcons as well. But it just seems a little bit messy on the breach there when 8 could have been put on together, all detonated at the same time, and you don't have that worry of impact.
For Doki's 4th entry, this 4th entry death, this game. His 3rd in a row, leaking back to 2 rounds prior. Shaiko in this one, not having a great time. Laura also being taken out. Now, Falcons have got a great opportunity here, Tim. A 5v3 with 60 seconds still to go. Loads of utility still to roll on through, in particular the Sens, to try and make this vertical plant work out for them. They've got all the tools to get it done. Is someone going to be a hero on G2's side? It won't be Alabama, that's for sure. Deleted, Stomping and Blast, the only 2 now available to make anything happen. Stomping going straight into a flashbang, not losing his life as a result though, but also not far off. I tell you what, dies to the same angle. Make it a flawless round for Falcons. Tim, now you get to say the other line.
They're going all the way to 15, Des. They are treating us here on Lair. We knew that it was going to be a close matchup, and both of these 2 teams have delivered. And, you know, what an unusual passage of events we've had in overtime. We've had the defender-sided Lair, where it's been 4-2 in favour of the defenders both halves, and then straight away in overtime, G2 get themselves an advantage by taking the attack, and you think, you know, you've almost got yourself over the line there. They've got to be kicking themselves a little bit as Falcons are able to then come in and do the same to them, and that's you feel like that moment might have passed G2 by, because we now go back to Falcons being on the defense, and you think, well, is the entirety of overtime just going to flip and be attacker-sided? Really, statistics would say probably not, given the way things have played out between these 2, so you kind of go advantage Falcons once again.
As you make that fair and you say we're going all the way to 15, I cast with Nick a few weeks ago and said to him, You've got to do the lines, Nick. Like, it's your job. Like, Tim's not here. Someone's got to, and it can't be me. I'm the one the lines are said to, so you've got to do it. And he's like, okay, I'll do it. I can't do a Danish accent, so I won't try. But he really warmed himself up for it. And we got there, and he was like, we're going all the way to overtime, Des. I was like, no, that's mixing the two together. I was like, you can try again next time. You can do this. And then we got to go into the 15th round, and I think he said something like, we'll go into the 15th round, Des. And I was like, no, that's wrong too, Nick. Do you not listen to us, man?
You see, it looks easy, Des. It looks easy. That's all I'm going to say. You know, it looks easy, but try under pressure. These things have a way of going wrong.
They do, Tim, and that's exactly what these two teams are about to find out. Under pressure, what can go wrong, but what can go right? I really want to see Doki get more involved in these rounds, Tim, because as I've said, that's the 3rd round in a row, last round, that he has been the entry death. We cannot afford to have that happen again. He's not on the shield here. He's not the point man for his team. He can afford to be a bit more chill here and see how he can get himself involved.
G2 are going to have to get Lair underneath to be able to breach this wall. They've put the exothermic on there, but the double mute jammer is going to hold them at bay because they've no pocket EMPs. They've got the Twitch drone. That's another option, of course, for Doki to get in there and take them out. But until one of those two things happen, it slows G2 down a bit, which is a shame for them because they've come in here pretty aggressively, actually. They've been really moving with, you know, good pace, getting utility dealt with, taking ground. I like what I'm seeing from them. They look like the team who really wants to win this round and win this map, which they should, because if they don't, it's over for them. And they will sit with just those 50 SI points rather than the 150 or 300 that they could contest for in the grand final. But yeah, as it stands at the minute, they've got to do something about that mask wall.
Really thought we'd see a C4 come sailing out towards the breach then, but no, saving that one for a rainy day when Alamau starts bringing Iron Rain down on the site itself. C4 does come out, but not popped out. I think he realised not in a spot to do any real damage. It's more there as a deterrent right now towards Alamau to stop him stepping in towards site and being aggressive. It's a little bit of posturing back and forth as neither side really willing to commit just yet. But someone's got to fall soon, Tim, because we're coming towards our last 60.
Yeah, Leakafac's done great here. He's wasted 2 minutes underneath, and this is preventing things like that breach being dealt with. Tries to get in with the buck shotgun, but there is a superior shotgun in the hands of Leakafac as he takes down his man. 5 versus 4.
No.
Manages to find a second. No excuses from above on the cover. Leakafac goes big. He's wasted 2.5 minutes down here. He's taking bodies. He's winning this for his team now.
Stomping finally gets him shut down as well. Didn't take that earlier lick from the shotgun, but enough range that he didn't go down from it. Has managed to capitalize and get the kill back. It's a 3v3, but there is so little time left because, as you say, Leakafac has wasted it all on that downstairs. G2 are in full panic mode now, Tim. No more mistakes allowed.
They're going to have to go for kills realistically. Solitov on! Get to absolutely beautiful stuff. Alamau manages to get a trade, but surely meaningless at this point. He gets stuck on the rotate, taken out by Falcons, who head into that date with destiny. They're going back up against Secret in the grand final.